All right, and welcome back, everybody. And we are now on the key versions of your tracks. All right, I'm going to go over the main versions that you need to send, or I would call it the most popular versions, in my experience, that you need to send. And keep in mind that when pitching, every publisher and supervisor, they're going to have their own um, that their own suggestions, and they're going to have their own preference on the versions you need to send them. But these are versions that I found that work extremely well every single time if you send them, right? So these are the key versions of your tracks that you should be submitting. Up first, we have no drums, right? So that means the hi-hats, crash, ride, cymbals, and any other additional percussion like tambourines and shakers is taken out, right? Take all of those elements out of your track and leave everything else. That's going to give you your no drums version. Okay. Next on that list, assuming the track you can stand on its own, right? That you made, assuming that it can stand on its own and not sound weird. And I say that because you want to use your own discretion, right? If you start to take out instruments, or you start to take out elements in that track and it doesn't sound as full, or it doesn't sound as complete, use it at your own discretion on what to take out in the versions that you should apply, or that you should supply to your publisher. Okay, because for instance, you have a no drums version, right? Obviously, if you only have a piano track that has some shakers and things in there, you might not be able to supply an no drums version, right? Because it's just a piano track. Same thing here. The drums only. If you have a very few drums, like let's say you only have a kick and a snare, right? You might not want to supply a drums only version, right? Because there's not that many drums. But again, if the track can stand on its own without the drums, you want to keep things like tambourines, shakers, hi-hats, and any other percussion that adds to the rhythmic element of that track. Okay? And that's going to get you your drums only. Next, you have the drum and bass. Now, not every track is going to have bass in it. So again, use it at your own discretion. But you will have the hi-hat, crash, the ride and cymbals, and all that percussion, plus the bass that's going to keep the rhythm going. All right. So that's what your drum and bass version is. The next version I like to supply is the bumper. So a bumper is a 10 to 15 second version, and it's a standalone version of the driving part of the track. I'm going to give you examples of that, but just to put it into perspective, whatever makes the track typically is like going into the hook, or it may just ultimately be the hook or the chorus, right? That's going to be the bumper. You're just going to chop that down to 10 to 15 seconds with a sting ending, okay? And that's going to create your bumper. And again, we're going to have examples on that. Mostly everything I'm going to show you that we're talking about, I'm going to have an example to show you guys when we get to that section, okay? Next, you have a stinger only version, okay? Now, this is like 5 to 15 seconds in length, and it stands alone, right? And that's just a version of the end, or kind of like the outro of your track, okay? That's what this version is. Now, this sting only version is very, very popular, and it's very, very useful for the editors, because they can easily take that stinger version and throw it at the end of a track, just to fill in some space or something like that, and make sure they transition to the next scene. So definitely supply that version. The next version we have, the most popular version, in my opinion, that I've seen that got used a lot when I supply them, are the 30-second versions. Basically, it's just a 30-second cut down of your track. It starts directly on the main melody and or the chorus. So when the chorus hits, right, from the chorus, you go 30 seconds and boom, drop a sting ending. That's going to give you a 30-second version. The same goes for the 45-second version, which is equally as popular, okay? You start at the hook, or you start at the main melody, or the main part of your track, you go up 45 seconds and end it with a sting ending. And again, you're going to use this at your own discretion, because sometimes it might not end how you want it. You might have to finesse it a little bit, but I'll show you a couple of ways to do that. But again, those are the versions of your tracks that you should be supplying. You should be supplying a 45-second version, a 30-second version, stinger only, bumper, drum and bass version, and drums only version, okay? And a no drums version as well. Those are the versions that you need to apply, or you need to supply when you're making your pitch, because this is definitely going to help you. And every single track that you make, when you create these versions, you just think of it as a new track. So if you have one full track, whether it's a song or instrumental, you have one full track and you supply 5 different versions, you have given yourself 6 opportunities to get your music placed. Okay, because it might be a spot for the full track, but there might be a spot also for the 30-second version and a stinger only version and a bumper version, right? If you give them those options, you give our editors and the end users those options, you are increasing your placement opportunities. And that's what this is about, increasing your placement opportunities. Okay, guys? Next, we are going to talk about the lyric up. When I learned how to create a lyric up, or I guess what a lyric up was, it completely changed everything for me. So we're going to talk about that, and then we're going to get into some examples. So next up, we're going to talk about the lyric up, and I'll come back and I'll catch you guys in just a moment. Okay, peace.